What happened to Jennifer Capriati? The truth about the tennis legend's quiet life in Florida as she returns to Australian Open. Jennifer Capriati, a former world No. 1 and 3-time major champion, is set to make an appearance at the Australian Open 2026. Following the women's singles final between Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina on Saturday, January 31st, she will be one of the distinguished guests to partake in the trophy ceremony. Capriati was a household name in the 1990s and early 2000s, but has largely stayed out of the spotlight since her retirement in 2004. She burst onto the scene in 1990 and made the semifinals of the French Open on her debut as a 13-year-old. 2 years later, she stunned Steffi Graf in the final of the Barcelona Olympics to claim the gold medal. However, Capriati's success was soon overshadowed by her personal struggles. Following a first-round exit from the US Open 1993, she stepped away from tennis for nearly 2 years. She was charged with shoplifting during this period, as well as with misdemeanor marijuana possession. Capriati soon rose like the proverbial phoenix from the ashes. The seeds of her eventual success were sown in the late 1990s. She eventually became a powerhouse in the early 2000s, winning back-to-back Australian Open titles in 2001 and 2002. She also won the French Open 2001 and became the world No. 1. Recurring injuries forced Capriati to call it quits in 2004. Aside from sporadic interviews and appearances, she has otherwise maintained her distance from the tennis world. She continues to reside in Wesley Chapel, Florida, where she moved to as a child to pursue her tennis dreams. Following her retirement, Capriati appeared on the reality TV series, The Superstars, in 2009. She pulled out of it after a couple of episodes due to an injury. She was treated for a drug overdose in 2010 and was charged with battery and stalking in 2013 for allegedly following her former partner, though the charges were later dropped. Capriati was inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame in 2012. She was present at the WTA Finals 2018, making a rare appearance at a tennis event. However, she never completely distanced herself from the sport and continued to share her thoughts on the happenings in tennis via X, formerly Twitter. She's now set to grace the Australian Open with her presence, a tournament where she tasted tremendous success. Jennifer Capriati captured her maiden major title at the Australian Open 2001, beating Martina Hingis in straight sets. She defended her title a year later in memorable fashion. She outplayed Hingis in the final once again, though she saved 4 championship points this time. Capriati's string of good results in Melbourne came to an end with a first-round exit in 2003. Injury forced her to sit on the sidelines in 2004, so she couldn't make the trip down under. She eventually retired later in the season, making her first-round exit in 2003 her most recent appearance at the tournament. Capriati will now return to the Australian Open for the first time in over 2 decades. Former champions are usually involved during the presentation ceremony, and this time she has been chosen to honor this year's winner, a well-deserved tribute to a legend of the sport. Quick links.